this past week approved the appointment of administrators for the 23 local government areas of the state. This came less than 24 hours after a federal high court restrained him from making such appointments. The sole administrator also approved the constitution of the boards of some agencies, commissions, and parastatals. In a related development, the sole administrator cancelled all pending procurement and tender processes carried out by ministries, departments, and agencies in the state. According to him, the action became necessary following a Supreme Court judgment and the absence of an appropriation law within the period. The sole administrator directed the MDAs, all of them, that carried out such tender processes for projects in their respective offices to refund such fees to the respective contractors. Well, Mr. Logun, well, I'll come back to you again because I've read some comments. People have been saying, well, this is a clear indication that a dictatorship is afoot, full-blown dictatorship in Rivers State. But can you blame Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas? He will say, well, he derived his powers from the proclamation of the president, the endorsement of the Senate of the Federal Republic, and that in any case he has even asked for appropriation to be approved. He's not having any problems with it. He has been given money. They may say the appointment is 6 months. Suppose he becomes a permanent sole administrator. So he's creating his own sole administrators to take over governance in Rivers State. But what do you think? Is it legal? Is it lawful?
It's quite interesting. And when the issue of the autonomy granted to the local government authorities came up, the basic foundation was that for those local government areas to get their allocation, they must be elected into office. In fact, the issue of appointing administrators was frowned at in that decision. But we are back there now. And may it not be one step generating another step of controversy. Because now that the sole administrator is coming up with his own budget, who is he presenting the budget to for appropriation? Now he's appointing administrators for the local government areas. And I've said it, I hope that when this is over, there won't be a series of legal interventions and the interpretations of these actions. And again, a court gave a directive that he has chosen to ignore and move ahead. And according to him, because I followed this issue keenly, he said that he went to some local government areas and realized that to carry out the mandate given to him under the state of emergency proclamation, he needed the grassroots governance support. You know, he's now warning them on transparency, on accountability, and dedicated service to the people. So how do you assure that? And that's why those who are scared that this matter may linger on beyond 6 months may need to be more scared. And a lot of restructuring have been going on. But by and large, bringing out the thoughts of someone who said that he hoped that the Rivers people are now learning, because some of us are still of the opinion that if the appropriate stakeholders in Rivers State have risen up to the battle between Wike and Fubara, perhaps that state will not be where it is right now. So there are a lot of issues that must be interpreted at the end of the day. And I have said it personally that I hope that at the end of the day it won't be like, oh, treasury is empty, because someone came out boldly to say when Fubara was leaving, he left about 200 billion naira. So Rivers State, I hope that the elder statesmen in the state will reinforce their engagement to ensure that the impasse right now in that state is quickly resolved to restore full democracy in a situation where the members of the House of Assembly and the executive and all of them will be relayed in a synergy to promote the interests of the citizens. And finally, I hope the interests of the citizens are really on the table in all this drama.
Prof.
What would the stakeholders in Rivers have done? I'm so sad for Rivers, what is happening there. It's a well-planned thing, and it's so disheartening. What Rivers is doing is to remove Fubara's men and put Wike's men. It's as simple as that. We said this long ago, that there is a process, and from one step to the other, beginning with the Supreme Court. There's something that Nigerians have not paid enough attention to, and that is that restoration of the 27 was not before the Supreme Court. The case before the Supreme Court was allocation, whether allocation should be released. They jumped from a case that was not before them to another case. And after they did that, these guys returned to the house. Governor tried to reach them. They were running away. Governor couldn't reach them. And then some pipes were blown. And then so it's a well-orchestrated, plan. The stakeholders were there. So many people were appealing to this 27. The governor wants to present budget, he's looking for you. Make yourself available. Let him present this budget. They were nowhere to be found. They already knew that the plan was to declare state of emergency, to see the so-called structures of the state. Now, Ibas has come, removed it's now appointing, removing people all over the place and appointing administrators. Now look at it. There was an election in Rivers where the local government chairmen and executives emerged. The Supreme Court ruled that that election was not, there were irregularities. So you had an election that brought in people. The Supreme Court said it was irregular. You now have somebody bringing people who were not elected at all. Where on earth do they do things like this? It's very disturbing. The people saying we are going to a dictatorship, they are very correct. Very, very correct. And everything is about 2027, the structure. The structure. That so-called structure that I said before, and we all know, is overrated. The tragedy is that which governance is going on in Rivers? Who is talking about the healthcare, education, innovation hall for the youths? Nobody is talking about this thing. All we are talking about is politics. How to appoint this, see structure, remove Fubara's men, bring Wike's men. It is so disheartening. What my suggestion is this: the president's name is being called persistently. He appointed Ibas. Ibas didn't appoint himself. What he needs to do, ensure that those. Fortunately, the parliament didn't just approve the emergency. It also says that steps should be taken to reconcile all of these people. Anybody that is president that this man should go 6 months or maybe longer is just advising him in what will totally tarnish his legacy. You can still do in the election. It's not too late to do the right thing. What needs to be done is those groups that are, whether Baka is heading one, I don't know who's heading one, they should encourage them to work swiftly so that these people can be reconciled and this emergency ends so that stability can be restored to Rivers. That is the very simple, very clear way forward for Rivers. Not elongation, removing people, reappointing new ones. That is not the way to go. It would rubbish the president's legacy as a frontline fighter for democracy. What is happening now is antithetical to all of that.